What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to ESPN. Actually, we're not on ESPN too often, but today we're doing the NBA Future Power Rankings, new 3-year outlooks for all 30 NBA teams. And now, look, I live in the world of basketball statistics. That's what my company is. I always try to avoid using the word like predictive for things. It's cool to have outlooks, but it's my job to find like insights to just help you prepare for things, right? I'm never predicting the future. I just don't think that that's a realistic thing to ever try to do, and I think that sets an unrealistic expectation. But it is interesting to take a look because in basketball, especially in the NBA, you've got contracts, right? And so you can kind of take a look ahead to be like, okay, like how long do we think a team can keep a core together, right? There's things like injuries and stuff and multiple other factors that can get in the way of things, but I figured this would be kind of an interesting exercise to take a look at. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get into that, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. As always, season preview series is done by the time that you guys are watching this. The NBA season is not that far away, so I'm just trying to get us kind of all caught up and settled for the start of the regular season, and I'm just excited to cover another one with you guys. But with all that being said, let's get into the article. Okay, as per usual with these articles, I want to make sure I read kind of like the tops of this stuff so that I'm not one of those uneducated people commenting on nonsense when they don't even understand what they're reading. So the NBA Future Power Rankings are ESPN's projection of on-court success expected for each team over the next 3 NBA seasons, this one included. Can the Oklahoma City Thunder become the first team to break an NBA record streak of 8 consecutive seasons with a different champion? It's tough, man. There's a lot of good basketball out there. There's just better basketball players all around, and so you're gonna see more teams win. Let's see. To determine the rankings, we asked ESPN analysts Kevin Pelton, Bobby Marks, and Tim Bontemps, no clue, to rate teams in 5 categories and rank them relative to the rest of the league. Okay, an explanation of each category and a full view of the ratings are at the bottom. Why would you do that? Why would you put it all the way at the bottom? Now I have to somehow get to the bottom to understand like what you're actually ranking. That's not how you do a scientific like paper. Here's our latest update, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and scroll to the bottom of this because I don't want to be like surprised, and we'll work our way back up from there. Okay, guessing we're at the bottom, and yeah, okay. Okay, what's going on here? There's a bunch of writing here. I presume this is kind of like the concluding piece of this, or is this a whole nother article? Oh my god, I scrolled all the way to a whole nother article. Why would they let me do that? Okay, bunch of numbers. I don't care about the actual numbers. I want to see this. Full team-by-team results. We determined that the most important category is a team's current roster. That's fair. Those are people like on the team. So like things like draft picks shouldn't be as important. They're just mystery boxes, right? And the future potential of those players. Harder thing to establish, but fair enough. We can use some relative expectations, I guess. That category accounts for 50% of each team's overall ranking. Okay, so you weighted it 50%. The 0 to 100 score, each team receives to determine its overall ranking. Yeah, I know how to make stats. At the same time, we looked at management. Ooh, I know my Bulls are going to be low then. Ownership, Bulls are still going to be low. Coaching, Bulls should be high. A team's spending habits. Interesting. It's cap situation. Okay, so that is something that you can take a look at going forward. So I presume it's interesting because like, is a team going to be weighed down because it doesn't have as much cap flexibility? Because what if you're like the Thunder and you just have all good players, right? And you just have all of them locked up to contracts. Like, is that a negative or is that a positive? That's kind of interesting. And the reputation of the city and the franchise. What does that mean? And what kind of draft picks we expect them to have in the future? Okay, fair enough. I guess that's fine. You have to make these stats somehow. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and scroll to the top again. Let's actually get started with this. And I'm at the top again. All right, awesome. All right, let's get this started. OKC's number 1, right? Yep, okay, that would make sense. The question wasn't whether the Thunder would be the top ranking, but rather how they would rate historically. Okay, OKC's doing everything perfect, right? We all kind of understand that. They've got Shea, Chet, and J-Dub locked up for a while now, and they've locked up the rest of their roster, too. Shout out Topic, by the way, having to go through something testicular the other day. I found out like exactly what it is that have it. I hate that. So wishing him a speedy recovery with all of that stuff. So shout out Topic. But overall, yeah, Thunder are kind of just in the best spot. They got draft picks, they got competent organization, great coaching, great players. Everybody's locked up to contracts long term. Great. Good for them. We don't need to spend too much time on them. The Houston Rockets, number 2. Whoa. Houston, previous year rankings. Okay, they were number 1 last year, too. Previous year, they were 7. Houston is proof of how quickly these rankings can shift. Well, it's not like they were bad last year. The Rockets were among our bottom 5 teams in 4 of our 5 rankings from May 2021 through October 2023. Oh, and then, yeah, those were difficult times, right? And they never finished higher than 22nd. But last year, the Rockets leapt to 7th after hiring coach Ime Udoka and amassing one of the best young cores in the league. Then they added Kevin Durant. Yep, that obviously helps the present ranking of their roster, which accounts for 50% of the rating. So that makes sense. Was this made before or after the Van Vliet injury? Do they take into account injuries and stuff? So, like, does Jason Tatum and, like, Tyrese Halliburton's injuries, like, play into effect here? I'm kind of curious. The addition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, interesting. Their top 5 rankings in players. Second in players. Whoa, okay, like, I like Amen, I like Şengün, all them dudes. Largely unproven. Really? Top Western Conference rivals, thanks for top 5. No, it's just in general second, better than like the Thunder and the Clippers, and like I feel like I could think of a couple other teams that probably have better rosters overall. But I mean, shout out Houston. Management 4th. I mean, yeah, it should be high, and draft assets 5th. Yeah, they got that like Nets pick and everything. Okay, fair enough. Shout out Houston. Shout out Houston. The New York Knicks. Okay. Knicks were 3 last year. They stay 3 again. The Knicks hold steady after reaching the first conference finals in a quarter of a century. Shout out the Knicks. It's great for basketball when they're good. Fell short to Indiana. New York, which had its highest ranking in back-to-back years. Top 10 finishes and players, 5th. See, like, I think the Knicks have a far better roster than, like, the Rockets. Like, maybe far is maybe an exaggeration, but, like, I don't know, like, I feel like the Knicks roster all around is just better. The market, 2nd. So what did they say the market was, like, determined by? It was, like, fan expectations or, like, something silly like that? Because they're clearly not just talking about, like, market size, like, per capita, right? Because New York would be the biggest one. So who has the number 1 market if it's not the New York Knicks? I'd be curious to hear who that would be. That's interesting. And management 9th after replacing Tom Thibodeau with Mike Brown. Did that drop them or raise them in the Raiders' minds? I'm curious because Mike Brown's a good coach, but I thought Thibs was like really good. We've talked about that before. His flaw is just he won't play his bench for whatever reason. But Knicks 3. Okay, interesting. The Cleveland Cavaliers at 4. Okay, you expect to see them that high probably because they've got one of the best rosters in the NBA, right? We didn't predict Cleveland's evolution from also-rans in the East to legitimate contenders. Like, I don't think you needed to, like, predict it last year. We talked about it a lot during the offseason last year with Cleveland. We were like, they've got this phenomenal roster. It's just they can't get a lot of these guys to, like, click together. And, you know, when you looked at it, it was kind of hard to understand why. And so when Coach Kenny came in and made it all click, I don't think that should be like a surprise to anybody necessarily. 64 wins last season, already in the Cap's 2nd apron. So does that bring them down? The Cavaliers are last in financial flexibility. Okay, well, yeah, if we're basing it off of flexibility, that's fair. And I guess you're kind of offsetting the idea that I was bringing up earlier by saying, like, well, Cleveland may have an expensive roster, but they have an incredibly good roster, right? So you shouldn't necessarily be penalized for that. You should be rewarded for the fact that you were able to fit them all on your team. I guess the fact that the current roster is 50% of the rating does kind of make up for that, so I suppose that's fine. With their core players under contract long-term, however, Cleveland should get value in trade while saving money to retool around Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell, says Pelton. Well, wait, let's see if they can't fucking win a championship first. Damn! My God. Like, let them try, man. They stumbled into the playoffs last year with injuries. Like, that sucks. What are you supposed to do? I don't understand. It's always so bothersome to me when people are like, oh, trade this person, you don't like give another idea for what they should trade for afterwards, because okay, yeah, tell them to trade Jared Allen and Darius Garland, but for who? It's very hard to get equal value in like trades nowadays. So I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, the Clippers are next. The Clippers are who I would think have the best roster in the NBA. They were 20 last year. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me though. Their roster is greatly improved, and now we realize how good Zubats is and stuff like that. Right? Kawhi's actually playing right now. Well, presumably, right? Well, I don't know if you want to presume that or not, but as of right now, he's not guilty of anything. A 15 spot jump from last year is largely fueled by a top 5 ranking in money, market, and management. Yeah, they're clearly run pretty well, outside of maybe a potential scandal of ownership. But again, that's not what we're here to talk about. The current version is a win now team that features 11 out of its 14 players under contract through 26-27. The second version boasts flexibility to reshape the roster, blah, 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 with only Ivica Zubac under a guaranteed contract. Yeah, and he's on a great value. Blah, 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 blah. They could have a lot more cap space in the future. The Clippers are under investigation. If the allegations are proven true, the penalties will have a significant impact. Yeah, 100%, because they could lose draft picks and good players. So that would be tough. But for right now, I agree with the Clippers. Maybe you put them even higher in my mind. But, is what it is. The Warriors up next. Kind of surprised to see them this high. I'm trying to think why. They've got their players locked up for a little bit of time, so it's not the financial flexibility. The roster's great, right? Great is an exaggeration, but their core couple players are really good. They were 9 last year. A team featuring 3 players 35 and older and under contract for only the next 2 seasons should be a cause for concern. But if the 20-7 record after the All-Star break and first-round playoff series win against Houston were indications, I don't know if that's a great... we all knew Houston wasn't going to win that series. Nothing against them, it's just they weren't going to win that series. And there is some staying power for Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler. I get so annoyed on the internet when I see people just be like, oh, this guy's going to get worse. This guy's going to get worse because he's this old now. We don't always see that nowadays. This isn't 2K. After you pass your prime years that are set for a player, right? They don't just automatically start regressing. Has Steph Curry really gotten worse over the past couple of years? Maybe, but considering he's still one of the best players in the NBA, I don't know, right? I don't know if you can really make those comments or whatever. But what are they saying? Because the great unknown post Curry, I'm curious where they ranked the coaching for this team, right? Because once upon a time you'd say Steve Kerr is the best coach, and now you look at him as a guy that has a really elite system that isn't flexible to fit his roster, right? And so does that downgrade them at all? The management I think does solid for the most part, but I don't know if I'd call them great. So I don't know, just some thoughts there. The Orlando Magic as high as 7. Okay, yeah, I guess the current roster's got a lot of talent on. I don't know exactly how they all fit together right now, but yeah, talent-wise, it's good. The Magic traded for Desmond Bane and signed Banchero to a 5-year extension over the summer. However, those transactions have Orlando holding steady in the spot from last season. Orlando is maintaining its ranking because it ranks 27th in money and 24th in the draft. Yeah, because you just gave up those draft picks for Bane, but of course you would do that, right? Because out of those 3 draft picks, the likelihood of any of them being Desmond Bane is slim to none, right? In the next 3 seasons, the Magic are committing a lot of money to Bane, Banchero, Wagner, and Jalen Suggs. They also only have 1 future first that they're allowed to trade in the next 7 seasons. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So their draft capital is a little bit depleted, but again, you got a good player out of it, so I'm not tripping about that whatsoever. The roster itself is again solid. It's full of good basketball players. That's good. It seems like the money thing is really weighing down some of these good teams though, which is kind of interesting. All right, moving on past them, the Lakers are next. Is it mostly just because of Luka? Because the LeBron thing, at the time of recording this, LeBron said yesterday that he's doing an announcement part 2. Is he going to announce he's going to retire, or has he just got another Space Jam movie coming out? I don't know. I don't really care all that much until it actually happens. Even with LeBron James's future unclear, the Lakers still moved up 13 spots because now they have Luka Doncic. That's totally fair. The security of having Doncic under contract for at least the next 3 seasons, the attraction of the Los Angeles market. Okay, so that's the fan expectations they're kind of talking about, and the significant cap space in the next 2 seasons have the Lakers positioned well. how much does cap space like matter nowadays? Because nobody's really incentivized to like hit free agency anymore. So just kind of a thought that I'm having. Like, yeah, like as soon as LeBron's gone, it's gonna be Luka's team, and then you're gonna have a lot of cap flexibility, right? And then you can kind of do a retool with this and try to put a team that is more fitting to Luka around him, right? That's totally something I could see this team doing. I'm sure they're going to try their best to do so. So fair enough. That's fine. Lakers at 8. It feels a little bit high, maybe, but they have Luka, so I guess that makes it okay. The Nuggets. See, like I'd expect the Nuggets to be higher. Because they've actually like won a championship. They got Jokic, right? And they've got like other like really good players around Jokic. So I'm a little bit surprised at this. So then is it because of like the draft stuff and whatever? I don't know. The Nuggets still rank 4th in the players category, reflecting their potential to be the biggest threat to the Thunder in the West. Are they the biggest threat? I guess in my mind, like the Clippers, if healthy, could be, but if not, like, yeah, the Nuggets, just because, look, there's not really an answer to Jokic, right? Okay, after it's changing its coach and GM late in the regular season, they rank below average in other categories. Yeah, I guess because they're unproven. That makes sense. The Nuggets' looming apron issues and missing draft picks mean this might be their last chance before yielding to the West rising powers. I don't know if you ever have to yield, man. I mean, how long was, like, y'all remember when, like, Cleveland and Golden State were going at it, and Cleveland was finding, like, every possible way to keep adding talent to things? Man, you can find ways. So I'm not tripping about that too much, but no, yeah, Denver's got a good basketball team. Some of their assets and like coaching staff is unproven, so I guess I can kind of understand that, because the Lakers actually have like good coaching, so that's fair, I suppose. See, like I wish they would put like the scores and rankings for everything on here so I could kind of evaluate it. The Spurs, okay, yeah, if we're looking 3 years out, here's the thing, 3 years out for the Spurs still isn't like all that far on their timeline. That's year 5 of Wemby, or 6, something like that, right? And that just still leaves guys like Castle, Harper, Bryant, like a lot of these other young guys, like still very fresh in their NBA careers and still largely unproven for the most part. So like you got a while before this team's like supposed to be all that relevant. They hang on to the 10th spot thanks to a roster that features arguably the game's most exciting young player in Victor Wembanyama, a pair of back-to-back top 5 selections, Dylan Harper and Castle, and now they have De'Aaron Fox. Yep. The Spurs rank in the upper half of the league in nearly every category, finishing no higher than 8th in players, but no lower than 16th in market. I feel like we don't hear nothing from Spurs fans, man. Can we hear some stuff from Spurs fans? Like, are y'all just kind of chilling, trusting the process? Where are we at with things right now? Where does the coaching rank, right? Like, first time ever, like Popovich, like clearly isn't the coach there now, and so you got new coaching staff, and you presume that the Spurs have done their homework, but I'm just curious to hear. Okay, the Timberwolves are next. They were 8th, and they've fallen a little bit, which is interesting. Back-to-back conference finals appearances, the Timberwolves ranked 7th in players scored, despite concerns how they'll replace Mike Conley. Yep, that's fair. Their issues are in the money. Yeah, that's understandable. The draft, okay, and the market. Yeah, Timberwolves market can be a little bit rough to deal with. A lot of economists think that they should just move out of Minneapolis, but I'd be sad if that happened. I live in Minneapolis, so it's just nice to have a NBA team here. Timberwolves will be challenged to upgrade their roster through free agency or the draft. Yep, that's fair. And Minnesota isn't in a market that can count on minimum contributors. Okay, fair enough. That makes development for Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. paramount. Okay, I mean, I feel like this team could go through like a soft rebuild in like a year or two if they like really need to, and then it's not a huge deal. Anthony Edwards is still only like 23 years old, so I don't know. I don't think the Timberwolves are in like a bad spot by any means, and hell, they've made 2 conference finals in a row, so I'm not tripping about any of that. The Hawks, ooh, what a big jump for them, mostly probably just because their roster is a lot better this year, right? Yep, they were 23. The Hawks have failed to advance past the first round in 4 straight seasons, have not won more than 48 games, blah, 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 blah. The jump is noticeable because San Antonio controls the Hawks' first-round picks over the next 2 years, and Trae Young could become a free agent next season. However, Atlanta ranks in the top 15 in every category, largely because of several shrewd transactions this summer. That's what we keep saying, man. They took advantage of all of the teams that were at a disadvantage this offseason. You got Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, and then you already got Trae Young, Dyson, Jalen Johnson, Reese Shea. It's a cool one, and now they've got that New Orleans or Milwaukee pick, so yeah, fair jump, fair jump. I'll be curious to see like what they do, because Atlanta had like no course, it felt like, for a little bit, and now they kind of have options again, which is nice. They really did a good job of steadying the ship. So good job, Atlanta. I'm not going into like too much detail with any of this. I'm kind of just reading through it and going through it and kind of giving my analysis on it. So I don't know, because I feel like otherwise I'm hashing things that you guys would have seen in like yesterday's video again. Which, what was it? That was like my season grades or whatever you guys would have seen yesterday. 13, the Celtics. Last year they were 2. A year ago, the Celtics were defending champions en route to dominating the Eastern Conference. Then Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. Boston failed to get out of the second round, and the team landed Porzingis, or the team traded Porzingis and Drew Holiday this summer. Yeah, they had to. It's a reminder how quickly things can change, even though... so here's what's interesting, right? So if they were doing 3-year projections, they should have been able to do the math last year that those couple things were going to happen. Like, that doesn't mean it's not still a negative, but like maybe they shouldn't have been ranked as highly last year then, right? Because we knew for business reasons they were going to have to trade people. Plus strong management and Joe Mazzulla. We love Mazzulla and Brad Stevens. Yep. Once Tatum is back, and they've got a decent amount of like their draft picks and stuff too, so I feel like the Celtics are in a good overall position, but I'm guessing one of the biggest reasons for the fall is literally just like overall roster talent, right? I love the core that they have still of Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and then throw in Anthony Simons to that too, who, again, people forget this guy can get you 20 to 25 points like any night, but there's other deficiencies in his game. It's easy to see what they don't have anymore in a Porzingis, a Drew Holiday, a Jason Tatum, and forget what they still do have, which are a lot of very good like basketball players at the top of the roster. Now you just have to make role players. So I don't know, that's a lot easier than making studs. So is what it is. The Miami Heat. Oh, we got a little bit of a sneak peek at the next one. The Miami Heat. They're 14. They were 17. Despite 2 straight non-competitive first-round losses. Sorry, Miami. The Heat moved up. How? Without Jimmy Butler on the team. Miami ranking in the top 10 in management. I feel like Heat fans often disagree, but they probably shouldn't. Your team is always like in the finals every couple of years, so calm the fuck down, Heat fans. I'm looking at you guys. I'm looking at you, you fucks. Market, yep, that's all good. Although, whenever, like, now that I'm thinking about like fans and like city expectation and stuff like that, I don't know how much they're actually taking like fans and stuff into this. I don't quite understand this market one or whatever, but I always think back to the Heat fans like leaving that finals game, and that's just the stigma that I hold against them now. And I also lived in Miami for a couple years, and Miami's just a weird place, man. Florida itself is such a weird place, and I say that as an American that just lives in a weird country, but Miami is the weird in the weird in the weird. Okay, money and market helped it jump 3 spots. Jimmy Butler no longer on the roster. The Heat are not a luxury tax team anymore. Okay, so that boosts them, and they expect to have spending power in the coming years. Okay, and like you look at the current roster, it's not bad. Like the Hero injury sucks. Now I don't know when this was written at this point, but I'm guessing they weren't counting against that at that point. So you still got him and Bam. You got Norm Powell on the team. Like Wiggins is still good, right? You got a couple of interesting young players, so they get to be in the top half. All right, final team in the other half is the Pacers. Really? Do we judge the management after this? We would have been debating how high they belong in the top 10, starting with but yeah, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. Indiana's future has taken a hit, although Halliburton will be back for the final 2 seasons. Center's Miles Turner is gone, and his departure renews questions about ownership's willingness to pay the luxury tax. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like the coaching. Seems like the ownership and management and stuff like that kind of shit at this point, right? And this is looked at by most people in the NBA as like a very like kind of high class organization, like very much like this is how we do things. Everything's about winning, right? Like we do what we do to win, like blue collar organization, and it just doesn't involve spending money for whatever fucking reason. So there you go, man. That's the Pacers. Solid roster this season still. Like I'm excited to see Nembhard do what he can do with Pascal Siakam, and they still got a ton of like solid role players. But it could be tough this year. It could be tough. I'm actually surprised to see them up this high. Dallas Mavericks. Ooh boy. So they were 5 last year, and after the Luka trade, they probably would have dropped considerably, and now they're kind of back up after the Cooper Flag thing. Swap Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Blah blah blah. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL, but then they got the number 1 pick and they have Cooper Flag, so that's just going to boost your ratings in general going forward because you think you're going to have a new superstar on the team. He played in his like first like preseason games like last night, and again, It's that time of the year where we all kind of overreact to preseason. Here's what you need to watch preseason for. Go see like a couple new sets that coaches are kind of thinking about running. Don't overreact to how anybody's playing right now. It's just workouts, man. It's just workouts. There's guys trying to make teams and trying to make rotation spots. It's not actually like all that serious. So just let the guys get some workouts in and watch for some cool sets. Golden State was running some really cool sets in their preseason games that I think you guys should go watch. So, yep, okay, Cooper Flagg's kind of boosting the rankings here. Memphis Grizzlies, another sneak peek. They were 12 last year. Okay, so there were still questions about him last year, even more now. It was only 3 years ago when Memphis had back-to-back #1 rankings on the list. Really. Then the Grizzlies missed the playoffs in 2024 and got routed in the first round this year. I mean, they did play the Thunder, but yeah, they got spanked. It led to a roster reset by general manager who sent Desmond Bane to the Magic for multiple draft picks. I thought that made a lot of sense. This move is a recognition that the previous iteration of the Grizzlies wasn't going to win the West. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And I like I said, I think that the Grizzlies are doing like a pretty solid job overall of like managing their roster. Like the talent's there. It gets hurt. Maybe the talent doesn't like fit well together though. Like the coaching situation was kind of a mess as of late. Like the new guy coming in, we'll see. He's got a good history of being a coach, but never in the NBA. Obviously, is Ja Morant really that dude, right? Is he going to be able to stay healthy and focused on basketball? I don't know, but I think overall, like a lot of their like day-to-day moves make a lot of sense, and they've been one of the better teams at like finding young talent recently. So we'll see, but it feels like the Grizzlies are starting to slip out of favor with a lot of people. The Pistons, okay, yeah, they were 29th, and then everyone realized Cade Cunningham was good, actually, because, shocker, you put real players around Cade Cunningham, now he's able to hoop, right? Okay, yeah, we've talked about that plenty of times. Cade Cunningham is an All-NBA anchor during a breakthrough fourth campaign. Detroit has cap flexibility, and hey, when we're watching basketball this year, like, try to be a historian. I always tell people this, like, look at history, try to learn from it. So don't write off your young players just because nothing all that crazy is happening in their first couple seasons. Look at the context behind it. Cade Cunningham, I can't remember what the stat was at one point, but they said he had something like 50-something teammates in his first 3 seasons, which is insane for like 15 people rosters. I think it was like a lot more than that, honestly. But like they just have bums on the team, right? Like let's keep it real. Put real players on the team. Now all of a sudden shit's going well. Detroit has cap flexibility going forward. They like Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson. They got their own picks. Yeah, that's all fun stuff. Cool. I hope to see Malik Beasley back if he's innocent of everything. I'd love to see him back on this team because I just enjoyed watching him last year. The Sixers, ooh, they were 4 last year? Ooh, yeah, because they had just gotten Paul George. A year ago, Philadelphia had the best free agent signing in Paul George and hoped that this would finally be the season to break through for the Eastern Conference. Instead, it turned into a disaster. Joel Embiid barely played, and George missed half the season. So did like Tyrese Maxey, and like Jared McCain got hurt. Yes, they have VJ Edgecombe now, so they got this interesting young core along with this interesting group of like win now guys. The injuries are kind of already starting to pile up. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a good season for Philly. I just encourage us all to stay open-minded, even though I'm struggling with it myself, that look, Embiid's still awesome if healthy. Paul George is awesome if healthy. Tyrese Maxey is awesome if healthy. That's a lot of ifs. I know, and a lot of ifs typically don't yield great results, but let's just try to keep an open mind and remember that could be the case. So, yeah. Philly's dropping. They owe a lot of money to people. It's going to be really hard to trade those guys if they need to. Toronto. Okay, they actually moved up. It's been a tumultuous couple of seasons in Toronto where the Raptors have remade their roster, trading the remaining players from their title team. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam. Now they got Quickly, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram. Don't forget about Scotty Barnes. I know they drafted those guys, but obviously these guys were traded for. The team then moved on from longtime team president Masai Ujiri and longtime owner ceded control. Yep. They've regained some stability by keeping well-respected executive Bobby Webster. Yep. But it remains to be seen if Toronto's retooling was successful. This season will tell a lot. That sentence right there says a lot because on paper, it doesn't look great on the roster, right? It doesn't look great in terms of just like fit. The bench looks very questionable, right? And a big part of these ratings are like the roster itself. We don't necessarily know how these guys all click together, but you do have 5 good basketball players in your starting lineup, so there's a lot you can do with that, right? Because look, more likely than not, like you're going to have 2 to 3 starters on the court at any given time that can go get some buckets. So That's great. How they all fit together, though, I don't exactly know. A lot of unproven stuff with the coach. I know, like, by the way, Raptors fans, you guys are winning my award for Dum Dums of the Year this year. Whether it's comments on my channel or just comments on the internet, you guys are the dumbest. And you're Canada. You're supposed to be smarter than us. What the fuck's going on over there? I don't understand. But I don't know. There's just a lot of just like, well, this. We haven't like seen anything of this group yet, and there's a lot of presumptions that things are going to be a certain way with like the coach and the management and the players. It's like, whoa. I don't know. But yeah, Toronto being there feels about right. We'll see. The Bucks, yeah. Other teams have been preparing for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be available more or less since he emerged as an MVP. I'm so sick of all these like articles coming out about like Giannis wanted to go to the Knicks for like a day and a half. That's what he was thinking. Oh my God, he was in the shower. He called his mom. His mom told his neighbor, and his neighbor was talking to this guy that works for like ESPN in their bathroom. He shines shoes, and so he told one of the reporters. And then they report it, and they're like, Giannis wants to go to the net. It's just such bad reporting. Like, what happened to the world, man? Why do we report shit like this? Still, the threat level seems higher than ever that Milwaukee, after its third consecutive first-round loss, during which Damian Lillard ruptured his Achilles, the Bucks made a creative pivot. Yeah, a creative pivot is the right way to put it. I mean, again, we're giving the Bucks credit for trying to be as competitive as possible day in and day out. Good for them. I don't think it's going to work long-term, but it is what it is. Milwaukee has the limited ability to upgrade its roster, which could spell the end of the Antetokounmpo incredible run with the Bucks. And with no draft picks under the team's control, a Milwaukee rebuild could slow. Yeah, it could be really rough. So we'll see. Bucks are in a rough position, but you got Giannis, so anything can happen. The Trailblazers, alrighty. We underestimated the Blazers' talent a year ago. Did we? Who did that? The addition of Denny. We said that Denny was awesome on the channel, so I don't know if we did that. Development of Tamani Kamara. I feel like that was kind of already happening. So, and Shaden Sharp. Shaden Sharp wasn't like great last year, but he was better than what he was. So let's calm down a little bit. Portland helped Portland stay in the play-in hunt. Wow, what an accomplishment. During the team's best finish since 2020-2021. The Blazers responded by acquiring veterans Drew Holiday. We love that move, mostly from an asset management standpoint. And Lillard, yeah, obviously he's not going to play this season anyway, but that's a great story. Portland is hoping the newcomers support the development of the young talent, most notably Scoot Henderson and Donovan Clingan. Scoot's out for like half the season now, and that fucking sucks, man. That just blows. Donovan Clingan, yeah, he's awesome, but then the team took a center anyway in the draft. We don't understand. They were in last year? Whoa, okay, that was probably unnecessary. Like, again, a lot of interesting young talent on the team, so how could we kind of say that? Although when you look at like management and shit like that, this team's probably kind of low, just historically, right? Like the team hasn't always performed the best. Market, based on how they've been kind of grading this stuff, is probably low as well. So I guess that kind of makes some sense. But yeah, okay, Portland being there, I could see it. Let's see Denny make an all-star team this year. I think that'd be cool. Charlotte Hornets, they've moved up a little bit. I would have to hope that like at least management is looking a little bit higher. It's not a great sample size, but something we keep bringing up. Ranking in the bottom 10 does not mean the Hornets are stuck in neutral. Charlotte is focusing on its 5 players on rookie contracts. Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, to John Salon. Man, I love watching this guy play. He does not do much like good stuff out there, but man, he has so much potential. Nick Smith Jr., he's not on the team anymore, so I don't know when this was written. Liam McNeely. Are we really like that excited about Liam McNeely? But okay, fair enough. Fuck it, yeah. Shout out Liam McNeely. While accumulating draft assets and having financial flexibility, the Hornets have 24 draft picks over the next couple seasons. Good job, new management. You're doing it the right way. Good shit for you guys, including 11 first. Good job. And could have cap space in the next 2 off seasons. As a result, Charlotte ranks in the top 10 in both draft and... My recording paused for a second there again. That was annoying. I don't know why it keeps like bugging out on me, but anyways, yeah, shout out Charlotte. They're actually doing some smart things now. Moving on. Oh, I just realized my Bulls have not come up yet, and I should expect that, but it's hitting me right now that I'm going to have to talk about the Bulls at some point. 24, the Utah Jazz, where they were last year. It's probably fair. In his first offseason as president of basketball operations, Austin Ainge has signaled that the Jazz are still taking the long-term approach after drafting Ace Bailey. Yeah, they moved on from their vets or whatever, so the Jazz might need to sit. Yeah, they don't need to sit key players to rack up losses this season. Again, it's important for people to realize, because people don't quite understand the strategy that like the Jazz have been playing with. Basically, this team was really trying hard to get Cooper Flagg, and if they were going to have Cooper Flagg, they were going to keep a lot of these core players so that they could, raise him up a little bit more right away. They didn't want him playing with bums if they drafted him. Obviously, they got a little bit unlucky in the draft, so they ended up moving some people, but they still got Ace Bailey anyway, so you don't have to try to be like that good right away, and they still kept guys like Lauri Markkanen, which I think is awesome, to kind of help Ace Bailey like early on there. I'd maybe like to see them get another veteran guard on the team to help him out a little bit, but is what it is. A lot of their offseason was pretty interesting. They still have a lot of like draft picks and roster kind of flexibility over the coming years, so shout out to them. I like their coaching. It's just, their roster is obviously not that great right now, or mostly just unproven, I should say. Sacramento Kings are at 25. Really, that feels high. That feels high. And I know there's not much below that, but in 2 years, Sacramento went from having Coach of the Year and Executive of the Year, winning 48 games and being a 3rd seed, to losing in consecutive play-ins. Now Brown and McNair are gone, Fox is gone, and the Kings are no longer considered a playoff team. The regression in 7 spots from last year's ranking is because of its bottom 10 roster. Guess? I don't know. I don't think they've got like a lot of like bad players. It just, again, doesn't fit well together. Okay, and a management group that ranks last. Yeah, that's probably fair. They deserve to be lower than the Bulls simply because they're doing what the Bulls did. That was so stupid after the Bulls already did it in a stupid way. The positive, however, is that Sacramento controls its first in the next 7 years, and the first from San Antonio, blah, 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 blah. Yep, so they got a couple extra draft picks. It's just like, when are they actually going to start to like tear things down, right? I don't know. The Kings, I personally think, worst probably position in the NBA, and then the Bulls probably after that. The Wizards, oh boy, the Bulls are below the Wizards, and that's fair. That's totally fair, because the Wizards, much like the Hornets, starting to do some better things. They're going to be shit this year, almost certainly. There shouldn't be a very good roster, but management acting a lot smarter. They're getting draft picks. They got some interesting young guys on the team. I don't know if they've got like the young guy yet on the team. I don't think that they do. I think they need to get like another like top like 1 or 2 pick. It sucks that they got the number 2 pick in a not so great draft, because I really think you drafted just like a starter level player in Sarr long term. I don't think he's going to be a stud, but is what it is. They could have $80 million in cap space next summer. That's insane. And over the next 7 years, the franchise boasts 10 firsts and 13 seconds. Good for you guys. The Wizards are bottom 5, however, largely because of a roster that features a league-high 10 players on first-round rookie contracts, Bilal and Alex Sarr. If the former first-round picks make a big step in development, we could see the Wizards take a jump on this list. Yeah, and I don't necessarily see that from those two, like a big jump necessarily. I think they're solid players, but I think you're still trying to find that star player. But I like what the team's doing. I think they're going in a better direction, but still unproven. Oh, the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, that's probably a fair place to put them. The Nets struck gold last summer when they hired Jordi Fernandez. That's true. They should be up there in coaching. He did a great job with the team last year. We were calling it out. We were calling it out on the channel. But the Nets, who clearly targeted last season and this season to bottom out after reacquiring their draft picks from the Rockets last summer. Don't the Rockets still like have one of them or something? We're one of several teams to have bad luck in the lottery. Don't say that. This is how people put their little tinfoil hats on. They didn't have bad luck. What was supposed to happen happened. Even if you are one of the worst teams in the NBA, you're still more likely to not get one of the top 4 picks. Just look at numbers. By falling to 8th, the Nets, who have the league's worst roster, are in the bottom 10 for a 3rd straight year. Yep, they're not going to be very good this year. Let's watch some of the young guys do stuff, and let's watch Cam Thomas try to score 30 points every night. There's my Chicago Bulls. In terms of wins, it's unlikely Chicago will finish this low after posting 40, 39. Oh, don't remind me. It's so annoying. We're always like the 10 seed or the 9 seed. Yet few teams have less hope of becoming a contender than the Bulls, who have prioritized competing for play-in over grander ambitions. That sums it up right there. Very well said. Chicago's gotten younger. Great. Transitioning from Debo and Levine, miss you guys, liked watching you, but is what it is, to a core led by Kobe White and Josh Giddey. The Bulls will have cap flexibility next summer, but we don't trust this organization to maximize it. Very well said. Here, can I say something? I heard somebody on a football podcast say this the other day, where people were like, look, I'm just a casual fan now at this point, and you know what? I think I'm getting there with the Chicago Bulls, if I can be real with you. Basketball is by far, like, that's my life, right? And I watch so much NBA basketball, so I'm a huge basketball fan, but my Bulls, like, fandom has dropped. I am no longer, like, Bulls super fan that wants to watch every single game. I just don't. This is the least I've ever cared about the Chicago Bulls. Like, I consider myself more of, like, a casual fan at this point. Like, I just don't believe in the team. I just don't. I don't really like the roster all that much. Like, Giddey's cool. After that, no, I don't really care all that much about the roster. So is what it is. Like, I'll watch the games, but like I'm not gonna be like butthurt if they win or lose like any game at this point, like real fans would be. So yeah, that's how I feel. You've crushed me, Chicago. You've crushed me. Congratulations. More of a Bears fan now at this point, which geez, that says something. That's an abusive relationship I'm trying to get out of as well. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, the Pelicans, second to worst. Yep, their ownership and their GMs and coaches and everything just all seem kind of wonky. Their draft picks of Jeremiah Fears and then trading that unprotected pick for Derek Queen, probably the dumbest thing that happened this whole offseason. Even if Derek Queen becomes like some sort of stud, there's no way you had to trade that much to go get that. Just doesn't make any sense. Shout out Atlanta for taking advantage of you. I thought David Griffin did a pretty good job. Your team just gets hurt. What are you supposed to do? The whole team gets hurt all the time. I don't know. I thought Griffin did a pretty good job of putting a lot of talent on this roster. That move could have ramifications for years. As a result, New Orleans has its lowest landing spot in 16 years. Brutal. And they actually have like a solid roster on paper. That's the crazy thing, and that makes up 50% of the score. The Phoenix Suns are the worst. Really. It was only 3 years ago when Phoenix ranked third and had a solid foundation of young players and future draft assets. The foundation no longer exists, largely because of the KD Bradley Beal trade. Sure, both players are no longer on the roster, and though Phoenix isn't in financial purgatory, it still has Devin Booker. Its path back to relevancy is unclear. Yeah, you still do have Devin Booker. Like, that is a guy that has shown he can lead you to a finals, which is hard to find. There's not many guys that can say they've done that in the NBA. The Suns have no tradable firsts. That's really tough. Yep, unproven coaches. Yep, that's all very true. The ownership. Yeah, we get it. $23 million in dead money on their books in the next 5 years. Ooh, one positive is that Phoenix has shifted away from building around multiple high-priced veterans to getting Jalen Green. I don't know if that's a good thing. Mark Williams. I don't know if that's a good thing. Malawatch. I like Malawatch. So yeah, Phoenix deserves to be like down here. I'd still put like the Bulls and the Kings towards the bottom, but Phoenix, like, you could still, like, if you needed to, like, you could still, like, if you want to do a complete kind of blow up and just tell Devin Booker, hey, it's going to suck this next year, like, you could turn Jalen Green into some sort of asset. You could turn Dylan Brooks into some sort of asset, maybe Mark Williams as well. Nick Richards should get you something small. Like, you can get some assets back. It's just not going to be great necessarily, but overall, that's all of this. Oh, here's the rank in terms of like players. Holy cow. Yeah, look at this. Brooklyn was 4 out of, looks like you could give a 0 to 100 on like all of these in terms of players. So 97 was OKC, but Brooklyn was a 4. Okay, so yeah, we weren't ranking these like 1 through 10. That makes a lot more sense for like statistical purposes. Money, interesting, draft, market. So like, who had the top market out of these teams? We got a 77 and 84 in Golden State, a 90 and a 95 for LA. So like, where was Chicago on that? 56. Like, I just don't understand like what this one is, because like Chicago is like what, the third biggest market, and they consistently are at like the top for attendance or whatever. So I don't quite understand what this is. Is this just saying like the fans have given up? Because yeah, they probably should. New York is a 91, like Phoenix is a 79. Like I don't understand like what this like market thing means, but no, whatever. Very interesting article nonetheless. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed it too. How do you feel about your team's next 3 years? I feel grim. I feel bad about it. It doesn't feel good. But anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. Let's move on to the comment of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment of the video is coming from our Warriors season preview video right here. We got the Chef Curry right here, 4-time champ. Shout out him. The comment of the video is honestly just like a perspective thing for me more. So it comes from Barcole13 here that says, been watching this channel since Ideal Offseason 2023. Been waiting for this season preview. That just like kind of tripped me out or whatever. Like, I was like, shit, I've been on YouTube for like a little bit of time now. I started this YouTube channel just as like, hey, I have a little bit of free time. I'm a little bit bored. I want a place to talk more basketball now that I'm not coaching anymore. I'm just running my business. And so I was like, let me start this. If I can get 100 subs by the end of a year, good for me. And we're almost 3 years into this now, and we've got 7.75 on our way to 8. Like, that's pretty incredible, man. That's pretty incredible. This is gonna be my 3rd year of covering the NBA on YouTube. I don't know what this YouTube channel holds like long term or whatever. I really don't. It was just like more of a social experiment more than anything, but it's cool what it's become, and I'm glad that you guys have like places that you can go to just listen to stuff each day, because I need podcasts and stuff to get through my day all the time. So like Cohen here, that's like, it's just part of my daily routine now. I don't know what I'm gonna do when it ends. That's how I feel with series on like whether it's YouTube or other shit as well. So I appreciate you guys. By the way, thanks for all the great basketball discussions. If you guys want to have more of them, go hop on the Discord here. Link is down in the description. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. Do all those things. Regular season is almost here. We can overreact after the first week and everything because, you know, a bunch of fucking idiots on the internet. That's what we do. But anyway, appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to you later. Say hello to your nanas for me. Bye.